Hi, my name is Megan Perkins, and I'm here with Janet from Mecca Bend and Lorelei from Embrace Bend. And we're here today to talk about privilege and how it relates to our COVID-19 Mutual Aid Relief Fund. And this is the second conversation in this series, and would love to sort of break this down a little bit more for you. And I'd love to start with you, Lorelei. Can you tell us what does privilege mean to you, and how is it sort of manifested in your life?
Sure. So as you can see, I'm a white person, and that white privilege I carry with me, even though I have other identities that aren't of the dominant culture, meaning that I'm Jewish, I'm trans, and so while I experience inequities from those perspectives, I still at the same time carry white privilege. And the reason that this is so important for us to talk about is because privilege isn't just a theoretical thing that you either hold or you don't, and it doesn't really show up anywhere. It can directly impact lots of things about your life. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how it impacts the economic perspective. So for example, let's just look at my white privilege and see what I'm gained by it and how that can prevent me from experiencing hardships. So for example, because of my white skin, I am able to, for example, access loans if I need them. If something were to happen to me and I needed emergency capital, the bank probably wouldn't deny my application just by my name or by my race as they would for other people, and they do for other people. Same thing for buying a car, buying a home, going to university. All of those things are open and available and more easily accessible to me because of my white skin. And some things that can take capital away from people I'm also protected from. So for example, because of my white skin, I'm less likely to be pulled over by the police. I'm less likely to be fined or ticketed. If I do have to go to court for something, I probably won't be punished as severely as Black and brown folks who have to go through the criminal justice system. So that's just a few examples for me personally from a white privilege perspective. And I think Janet wanted to talk a lot more about wage inequality and wealth inequality and how privilege can impact those things as well. Right, Janet?
Yeah, it's interesting to hear your perspective too, because I think a lot of times we shy away from these topics about talking about privilege and what it actually looks like manifested in our daily lives. One of the biggest, I think, disparities and gaps that exist is when we talk about wages. And there are so many statistics nationally out there that point to the very simple and very basic rule that if you are a person of color or you are not part of the dominant culture, your wage is severely affected by that in any job that you hold. But we want to talk about specifically here in Central Oregon, we want to talk about Oregon statistics. So between 2008 and 2018, there's in this 10-year gap, Latino men and Black males experienced an increase in their wages of 13% in those 10 years. So that seems like a reasonable figure to most of us. But when we break it down into numbers and we address the actual amounts of the median household income, the Latino man and the Black man that serve in the same positions with their white counterparts are still earning $20,000 less per year. And so again, that wage gap, that wage inequality sort of sets the baseline tone for the rest of their economic well-being for the rest of their lifespan and that of their children. And that then feeds into the major wealth gap that exists. So we have the wage gap, then we have the wealth gap. So if our Latino families, males that are earning $20,000 less in the same positions that their white counterparts are being paid, we're already starting at a level that is significantly lower. And that, again, is how white privilege is manifested when it relates to people of color.
Janet, can you talk a little bit about exploited labor and why it doesn't mean just sweatshops in Bangladesh?
Yeah, I think that's the first thing that comes to our mind when we say the word exploited labor. But what that looks like here locally is folks that are in the industries that have been deemed essential right now, such as the grocery store clerks, the folks that are stocking the shelves on the grocery, that are working in the back rooms, the truck drivers that are bringing in this food, the farm workers that are actually out in the fields harvesting the food. We also have the restaurant workers, all parts of the service industry, whether they're cooks, dishwashers, bussers, bartenders. There's so much that Central Oregon's economy depends on because of the tourism. And these folks, again, already being severely underpaid because of their documentation status or simply because of the color of their skin, points to this huge inequity that exists right here in our own hometown.
Mm-hmm. So last conversation, we talked about how our undocumented workers will not be getting stimulus checks or sort of the relief funds that are coming from Congress, the White House. And so today we really wanted to talk about how the system of privilege, it means that we have an economic system that is drastically uneven, and hope that we have given you a little brief understanding of privilege today. And that is why we at our relief fund focuses and prioritizes undocumented, people of color, queer and disabled folks. And that we really, really have an opportunity here to support our Central Oregon community. And the way you can find out more about our relief fund is to go to embracebend.com or meccabend.com. And we hope that you will consider supporting this really important cause. Thank you.